So yeah, I'm just gonna get started here. Welcome everybody. I believe that this is our, correct me if I'm wrong, fourth town hall that we've done. History will show me if I'm correct at the end. I should have done my research and my homework. I'm Mike. I am the one of the co-founders of Kaiju Cards. Myself and Josh and Tyler are the three founders. We got together more than a year ago, created the concept for the project. Tyler took control of the art. Josh and I took control of the strategy and positioning and all that great stuff. And here we find ourselves today. So I'll be doing, a bulk of the speaking during this town hall, but we do have our other illustrious team members with us here. We're starting with Logan. Logan, you want to introduce yourself?
Yo, hey everyone. I'm Logan Williams. I also go by Andy Wolverine here. I've been with Kaiju Cards since March, and majority of things I've been doing in research, strategy. I've also worked alongside 3D and Fizz from a community standpoint, and super excited about the things we've got upcoming. I know, a lot of these town halls, you may hear me say that, but I mean, they're so close around the corner here. Like, we're right there. So not a lot more waiting for some meaty content. It's getting close, and I'm super stoked about it.
Finally.
Absolutely.
Yep. Very excited. With us today, we also have our community manager, 3D.
Yo, how's it going? It's funny. Earlier we were talking about just how the dynamics of chatting online are, where it's like, okay, now everyone we're passing around the talking stick, right? But yeah, no, hi, how's it going, everybody? 3D, community manager alongside Fizz. Been here with the project since about July now, so it's been a happy 3 months. Really excited as to how the progress has been, as well as kind of where the project is going, especially after the recent event that the team had in LA. I'm sure that everyone as well is excited to hear a little bit more about that. But yeah, just nice to do a nice little re-intro. How's it going?
Yeah, it's always so awkward on these voice calls. I can't, we can't see each other's gestures. It's just like being in spaces. So it's always funny, like trying to intro somebody and just kind of like ending with the rise in tone of like the question mark of like, okay, it's your turn, I guess. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
believe it or not, I still do like hand gestures, even though there's like nobody in front of me. It just kind of helps me keep my flow going personally. You know what I mean?
Oh, I was doing hand gestures the whole, yeah, with what I just said too. I'm with you 100%. It just helps. One day we'll get video going for these, which I think will be really fun for everyone who's comfortable, not required. With us today, we also have Fizz, who has been, we just talked about this. Fizz has been a community manager for Kaiju Cards since like September of last year. So she is easily the most storied Kaiju Cards communications team member.
I guess I could be a senior. Hey y'all,
I don't
I'm
know
Fizz.
about that.
So you've probably all seen me lurking around in Discord. Again, I've been here since shortly after Mint, ensuring there's always quality Warhog belly button content. I helped harass the Kaiju team on behalf of the community, but now we have these town halls, so you could do it here.
Warhog embassy needs to be made. We need many things. Warhog Fizz has been Warhog's greatest champion inside of the Discord.
Church of Warhog incoming.
Actually, though. Speaking of Warhog, we have somebody new that we're welcoming to the team today, who just started this week. Somebody who has also been a huge champion for Warhog on Twitter, and we're really excited to welcome to the team. Adam, would you like to give an intro and talk a little bit about what you're going to be doing here at Kaiju Cards?
Hey guys. Yeah, sure, man. So yeah, like Mike said, I've been a bit of a champion of the Warhog. I've been posting a few memes here and there about the Warhog over the last year. I was actually a minter of Kaiju Cards back in August or September when it minted. So I just fell in love with the Warhog. So I thought, yeah, I've been posting a ton of memes. But I guess a bit of background on myself. I've been working full time in NFTs now, specifically Solana, for just over a year, about 14 months. So I kind of know the space quite well. And like Mike said, I've been brought on the team just to kind of get the word out about Kaiju. I'm going to be taking over the Twitter, going to be posting more on there, replying to tweets more, just getting the community more involved, really. One of the, I guess, problems that Kaiju face at the moment is that there isn't too much presence in terms of social media. And I speak to other people about Kaiju, a lot of people aren't actually aware of what they've been doing what the team have been building over the last year and what's coming up. So my job essentially is to get the word out and be like, actually, this is what Kaiju have been building over the last year. They've been one of the few projects that minted in that kind of region in terms of August to October last year. That one of the few projects that have actually really been building in the background. And essentially my job is to let everyone know, like I said, get the Twitter more active, and just increase our presence on Twitter, basically. And also show everyone what's coming up with the new gameplay release and gameplay demos and things like that. So hopefully you'll be seeing a lot more of us on the Twitter side.
Yep. Yeah, very, very important. I mean, NFT projects, crypto projects, they kind of live and die on Twitter. It's where everything happens, There's of course Telegram group chats, some small Reddit communities, but it's really Twitter. Twitter's the place. So we're really happy to have you, Adam. We're really happy to have a more robust Twitter presence and strategy. And I think it's just going to really invigorate things as we move forward here with all that's coming over the next couple months. So I want to take a sec and I want to ask Fizz, what is Kaiju Cards in your words? I'm curious. If you had to describe Kaiju Cards like to a friend or to someone, you were recently at an NFT event in Seattle. I'm curious what you would say.
A roguelike dungeon card strategy game, similar to Slay the Spire. Because I know a lot of people know what Slay the Spire is.
Yeah. I mean, nail on the head. I think Slay the Spire is one of the best examples of what a roguelike deck builder can be, and certainly one of the most popular. 3D, I'm curious what you would say if someone just came up to you on the street and was like, hey, what's Kaiju Cards?
Yeah, I'd probably say that, it's a roguelike card deck building game where, there's go-to team, OG team from Solana. I mean, I'd be honest with it, because like there's a lot of talent on the team. There's a lot of hard work that goes into it, right? Probably just, I'd say, a group of very motivated and inspired individuals that want to deliver on a high quality card game.
I love it. I was not asking for you to gas me up, but I'll take it.
You got to put the gas where it's due,
I appreciate it. Yeah, let me we've thrown around a lot in our history. I'm well aware. The first iteration of our game was like an RPG. using the same 23 characters, of course, happening in the same world, and with a lot of the same kind of core mechanics, like mechanical aspects of the game in terms of stats, turn-based gameplay, party of 3. But game development really takes a long time. It takes years and years and years. And what you're seeing in the Web3 space is that, like, people need to be able to see progress on the game. Communities ideally should be involved in playtesting and building the game. And what you're witnessing is a highly iterative and creative process in real time, like right in front of your eyes. So, we went from RPG to roguelike trading card game. And as we build more and more and more, we really learn more about the game. Like I said, it's a highly iterative process. It will continue to be that way for the foreseeable future. There's no other way to create a compelling game. So here's what I want to hit you with today is that, we are a roguelite. We're not a roguelike. And I had some pause about ever using the word roguelite. I feel like it was just really niche, and even roguelike, I was worried people in the Web3 space wouldn't know about. But I think it's good to refer to us really accurately, and I think that there's no use using a label that, doesn't accurately describe us for fear of people not knowing it. So, Fizz, I assume you're aware of the difference between like a roguelike and a roguelite, or would you like me to describe it?
Yeah, I think we should describe it for the community also. But I do believe roguelike is permadeath.
Yeah, exactly. So roguelite and roguelike, they come from the same genre of game. They're based off of a very early game, which was actually a computer terminal game, text-based at first, called Rogue. Roguelikes are permanent death. You don't carry anything with you in the run. You're in your run. It's like Slay the Spire. You're in your run. However far you make it, whatever you amass on your run in terms of resources, cards, what have you, those go away when you die. And it's really compelling for that reason. It's kind of like it's a new challenge every time with generative dungeons, and then you die and that goes away. The roguelite is similar with its generative level design, depth, but you carry things with you, right? You can level up. You can have RPG-like progression. You can have equipment that comes in from the outside with you. All things that kind of allow the game to scale. So we don't have permadeath. Obviously, we have swords. We have equipment. We have character progression arcs. We have talent trees. So roguelite is really the most accurate word to describe us. And again, we've gone through so many iterations of the game, but this is the most accurate description we can have. And I just wanted to put that out there so the community was really aware of how to talk about us, what we are, what to expect from the game. More than happy to take questions about this at the end. The next thing I want to talk about is our last month at Kaiju Cards. It was a really exciting month, perhaps one of the most productive months I think we've ever had. So, yeah, we got together in Los Angeles, really with the game, the art, and the marketing team. And we made a pretty big breakthrough on game development. Often when you're building a game, you're getting mechanics finely tuned, and you're doing lots of, the minutia of the game development and the minutia of game design. And we're finally at the point where the game actually is a compelling experience to play. Like, I remember playing the game, not being able to make it to the end, to the boss, dying, which wasn't common in previous iterations of the game. Like the leveling, we were still dialing it in, and getting through a run was kind of easy. And I remember dying and feeling like crap, I have to play again. I have to try again. And I tried like 3 more times, and then I finally beat the run. And I really think that that's an amazing sign. It means that there's depth, there's strategy. You have to be thinking about it. So this is a huge breakthrough for us. This really signals that gameplay is coming, sooner rather than later. It's going to be a good experience for you guys. You're not going to be slogging through like an early game build that doesn't offer any depth. The other thing that we did last month is we went to 2-Bit Circus. 2-Bit Circus is, for those of you who don't know, it's a barcade. It's a little more than a barcade. It's kind of a big, fun event space. They have VR, drinks, food, events in Los Angeles. It's owned by Brent Bushnell, whose father, Nolan Bushnell, is the creator of Atari. Josh, my co-founder, worked with him previously. So we ran into him in LA, and he invited us to be there. And it was really quite fun. I mean, we set up a booth, we showed off the game, we talked to a lot of people, got feedback. Logan, how many people would you say completed the run, like made it all the way to the boss at 2-Bit Circus?
Probably 2 or 3.
Yeah.
And that was yeah, 2 or 3, and it's probably like one of them was me. So like legitimately of the, and we had a lot of people play the demo, like a lot. But yeah, there's a difficulty curve that's currently available, which I actually like. I currently like the difficulty curve. It's just that on your first playthrough, it's like it's almost like you're not gonna get through a full run on your first playthrough, which is nice. I think.
I mean, yeah, I can't speak for everyone, but if I lose on the first run, but I'm having a good time, I'm going right back in. Like I'm compelled to play even more. And that's exactly challenge accepted from Machete in the chat. It's like it just ignites that spirit, right? Yeah, that was my read on it too. Logan and I were both there watching over people play, but we were also testing out other people's games, kind of cycling, talking with people. And that was my read too, Logan, was like 2 or 3 people completed the run. And
Yeah.
I think that the only person who I've witnessed complete the run was a Slay the Spire player who, like, it was his second time. Like he played once, he lost, and he was like, all right, I'm gonna go back in. Like I'm gonna play right now.
Yeah. And did he get the OP card?
Yeah, so he actually got a totally broken card, which needs to not be in the game right now because he one-shotted the boss when he made it. It revealed a lot about game balance, but hey, he made it to the boss.
Mega Blood Loss, or what's the card called?
It's called Mega Bleed.
Mega Bleed. That's my favorite card in the game right now. So like I've beaten it. I've gotten through a run maybe 8 times now, but I've had to have Mega Bleed for every single time. So yeah, there is an OP card in the current build, but it's actually kind of nice. So like everyone can get through it if they get lucky enough to pull that card. But
Are there any plans to nerf the card or?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
It's super OP. Like it's it totally breaks the game, but it's just nice. I like it. It's a good time.
Yeah, we'll be nerfing the card. I can briefly describe the mechanic of the card. So bleed functions a lot like poison. It's kind of you apply it to an enemy character, and then at the end of the turn, it does its damage. And in the current build, bleed is set. Mega bleed is set to do 999 bleed damage, and it's totally broken. It's way too much. We were messing around with it. We wanted to throw it in there. It's not a guarantee that you're going to pull it. So it's kind of exciting. But it's way too broken. Like if if you're one-shotting the boss with it, I think that's that's enough to warrant a nerf. So yes, 100%. The other big thing we did this last month was hire Adam. I think it's I don't know, I think it's a huge milestone for us. As we begin beating the drum more and more on Twitter, we really want someone to be handling that, as a dedicated role. It's a dedicated role. In the past, I have managed our Twitter. I have managed our, everything, especially in our early days. I was doing everything, Discord, Twitter. And what happens, like, if I'm being totally honest, is instead of doing a couple jobs really well, I was spread thin and, doing Twitter, Discord, managing our entire company, hiring, project management, product management, roadmap, everything. So I'm really excited to move into this phase where we have people who are really good at what they do. We have our community management team, we have our art team, our game team, our marketing team, and now we have a social media team as well. Team being singular person in Adam, but I think it's really important. So I'm really excited about that. So the next thing I want to talk about is the next 1 to 2 months. The next 1 to 2 months are really big. They're really big for us. So I'm gonna lead with the bad news. The bad news is it's not looking like gameplay will be live by the end of October. We are working seriously as hard and as fast as humanly possible on this thing. It's just that we don't want to release it prematurely. We don't want to release it when we know there's bugs in it. Like, if we release it now, we'd know about every single bug, and your playtesting, you'd be running into the bugs, telling us about the bugs. We'd be knowing about the bugs already. It's not a good process. No one's excited about that process. So what we're going to do is just continue working like around the clock on the game to get it out ASAP. And my prediction right now, and the internal roadmap that we have, my prediction is that it will come out in the second week of November, potentially the third week of November. We're working I don't need to say it again. You get it. We're working hard on this thing. The other thing that we are going to start doing in the next 1 to 2 months is activating our rollout plan. So before the gameplay goes live for holders, we're going to be making a lot of noise. We're going to be ramping things up, communicating a lot more on Twitter with Adam. I'm also going to be doing spaces, posting more. It's really time to activate our public presence. Our frequency of tweets will increase. The type of content we post will change. We have a lot in store. I can't talk about it all, but we have quite a lot of visual content we'll be ready to show. The whole goal is to start banging the drum steadily, not create unsustainable hype, but certainly create hype. And what I see in the next couple months is us getting really loud, posting a lot of stuff on Twitter and taking you on a journey. I'm being really vague. I think you guys will be really excited by what happens. It's something that we've been planning for months. I think it's really worth it to say that Web3 games are in an interesting position in the market. So Web3 games, they compete with PFP projects for attention. It's an attention economy, and the attention economy mainly happens on Twitter. I predict in the next several years that will change as we get more and more mainstream recognition just as an industry, and people become more comfortable with the concept. But for now, the playing ground is really Twitter. And Web3 games just can't move at the same pace as a PFP project. The time frame is longer for delivery. It's intensive work on a singular product, being the game. As I'm sure a lot of you know, games take on average 3 to 5 years statistically to make a full game. So our goal has been to get something out in a much shorter time frame than you would usually see from a Web2 game. Much shorter. Like we're talking the first 14 months of our company. We're gonna have something out there playable for holders. We really value the quality of the product. We really want it in your hands as soon as possible. Along with this, we're gonna be asking you guys to become really involved on Twitter as well. I see a lot of you posting, which is really nice. And I think you guys have been doing a lot of the heavy lifting. But as Adam begins to post, as we start making more noise, it's just really important that the community is present on Twitter as well. And that when people join Discord, we're welcoming, we ask questions. I do absolutely expect that more people will be joining the Discord in the next 1 to 2 months as we make noise, as we get people in, get them excited. And the whole goal of it is to provide fun experience for our holders, right? And that fun experience for the holders translates into more people choosing to join us on the Kaiju Cards journey. So we have a rollout plan that I haven't seen any other Web3 game do. And I can't say more for that reason. I haven't seen anyone do it. I'm really excited about it. And you will be experiencing it very shortly. Our rollout plan will begin before gameplay goes live. So you'll be seeing that soon, next couple weeks. I'm going to move into general updates now, just kind of general Kaiju Cards world updates. So I see a question in the chat. I've seen several actually about the Sword Forge. We want to do another Sword Forge drop ASAP. The thing is, we're also full speed ahead on game dev. And that's really our #1 priority. So, for full disclosure, doing a Sword Forge drop, it isn't hugely time intensive. We set most of it up to be automated. But it would be 2 to 3 days of dev work, which translates to, in my experience, 5 to 6 days delay on the game being in your hands. Because there's reorienting that needs to happen. Shifting gears isn't always like the most efficient way to do things. So the current plan with the Sword Forge is to do a drop shortly after gameplay is live for you guys. The other thing I want to mention is that we are shifting our communications strategy. So we've been doing kind of what I would call maintenance in communications. We've been posting monthly blog updates. I've been posting dev updates. We've been active in the chat, which we won't stop doing. But Logan has quite a lot of experience in Web2 gaming and in general, just communications around games, but just in general. And he's shown me some data to suggest that like maintenance posts and like regular posts to be expected posts don't really translate to like very good user activation or like user acquisition at all. What translates to really good excitement in the community, like actual use of the game, is meaty updates when there is something to really say. So it's not that I'm going to stop updating you on things. I'm going to give you all the normal dev updates. I'm going to give you all of the normal, previews, sneak peeks, everything. But as we move into this new era of Kaiju Cards, the regular monthly wrap-up blog posts no longer fit into that plan. They gave us a really, really good kind of baseline to go through. They really helped show you guys that we were building, how much work we were doing. I think they were really important. What I believe that we're moving into is a much stronger way of communicating with you and with prospective Kaiju Cards holders. So I wanted to give you those 2 updates. Things are changing. We're very much heading into a new era of Kaiju Cards here with, pretty radically different communication style, strategy, rollout, utility for the NFTs, products that are available, all of the things that you would expect as a project grows. The other thing I want to mention, I see a question about this in the chat. I think it was Fat Dragon about GQ ending and not being permanent, basically. Yes, there are plans pretty soon here to either cut emissions in half from GQ or stop emissions from GQ, and that's really for sustainability of the economy. And we said this from the beginning, GQ is not permanent. It's really a way to reward you guys as early holders and give you a substantial ownership over the gems economy, which is going to be really important in the game. That being said, Genesis Quests itself and the tavern, they're not going away forever. They're going to come back in a different form. And I think that one of our devs actually leaked a little bit about our plans as he was chatting with the community last night. I read his message this morning. I was like, I guess he's telling people about that. So just know that, as GQ gets phased out of GEMS emissions, there's a plan for it in the future. And I think, again, we're heading into a new phase. We got out of this kind of what I would call maintenance phase. And I'm really excited to get into this more meaty active phase. One other thing I think that's worth mentioning, and this is kind of the final thing before we head into the QA section, is that Dr. Peepee, myself, and Josh will be going to Solana Breakpoint. So if any of you are there, please let us know. I'd love to meet up. I'm really excited. It's like the single best place to talk to people. I've spent the last year doing Zoom calls with people, all over the Solana and frankly ETH and Polygon ecosystems. And it's just so much better to be in person. Like, you're there, you're hanging with them. Easier to talk naturally, it's conversations can be a little terse or stiff digitally. So I'm very excited about that. If you're there, let me know. If you're planning on going, let me know. We'll be around. We might have some stickers to give out, some other fun things. So if you won't be there, no worries. There will be many other chances to get the things that I said. But if you are there, please let me know.
I hear it's going to be a big party over there in Portugal. I'm excited for you guys.
Yeah. It's not as much of a party as like NFT NYC. I feel like Portugal is a little more, Breakpoint's a little more focused. There's a little more like business happening. I feel like NFT NYC is much more of the kind of like balls out partying side of things, but still it will be hype. It will be hype in Portugal. We'll meet a lot of people, a lot of other good projects, people I've talked to but never met in person. Just get our name out there, man.
Yeah, no, definitely.
I'm curious, before we go into the Q&A section here, speakers, is there anything I missed or anything you guys want to bring up or talk about before we go into the Q&A section?
I could bring up the time capsule.
Oh, yeah, that's great.
Yeah, please.
So I'm making a new forum channel under the community category, and it'll be called Time Capsule. and it'll be a bunch of forums about all of our old stuff that we did, just so that you guys could see our progress. Just the old art, the old stuff from development last year, to see how far we've come, and the fun events that we've had.
Yeah, I love it. I think, this is something that both Fizz and Adam brought up, and 3D too, actually, in the last week, is like, we've been around for a long time. We've done a lot. And I really like the idea of, categorizing that, making it available for people and celebrating that. So I'm really excited about that, Fizz. As I said earlier, let me know what you need. If the community has any ideas about some of their favorite points in Kaiju Cards history, please let us know. We can memorialize it or not memorialize. We can cement it in history.
Mike, one of the things I think I might mention as well, just while I've got a few people on here, is that one of the things I want to do is speak to community members. We'll post more details about this, I think, in the coming week or so. But one of the things that I want to do is speak to community members, people who are active in the Kaiju Discord, or just fans of the project. I just want to talk to you guys and get some feedback, and just really talk to you about what you guys want to see from us in terms of like marketing. If there's any feedback that you want to give us that you think you can improve on. So if you've got, obviously not now, but in the future, if you want to reach out to me or just have a chat, then send me a friend request and we can pick a time to talk basically, and just your feedback and see what you guys want to see from Kaiju moving forward.
Awesome. Yeah. We will get something. We have a system in place that will allow people to schedule time with Adam as well at a time that works for you. That said, it may require that you sign up with an email. If you're not comfortable with that, absolutely just do what Adam said and send him a friend request. But we will be announcing how to do that soon, and I think it's really important to get Adam talking with y'all. Well, I'll take that as that we're ready for the Q&A portion. So what I can do here is I can go into, I'm going to go into the town hall chat, and I'm going to answer all the questions that I see in there. And then what we'll do is anyone who has questions they haven't put in the chat, go ahead and raise your hand at that point. I'll let you know when it is, and come on up and we'll chat. Okay, first question. Why did we not get to play first before randos? Yeah, great question. So the 2-bit circus event fell into our laps. It wasn't something that we were planning on doing for months. It was something that just presented itself as an opportunity, and we decided that it would be good to take. So it wasn't the plan to get people to play before holders. It just, like I said, it happened that way. Playtesting for you guys is coming really soon. It's just that we have a plan that we've been working on for a while, and it requires a little bit more time and a little bit of a rollout to hopefully get more people to get eyes on the fact that we're doing this as well. Let's see. What other questions? Why not have holders help with playtesting from solo player as well? You will be helping with playtesting. That is kind of the theme of the next 4 to 6 months. We'll be having playtesting periods with you guys. It's holders only. Everything that we're doing in the next 6 months at least for the next 2 to 3 of those 6 months, is for holders only. So you will be helping substantially with playtesting. It just needs to be happening at the right time, so that we can make sure that we're getting the correct feedback. We can make sure that we're getting the word out about Kaiju Cards at the same time, and using it not only for playtesting for the community, but for momentum and a reason for new people to join the community. I know that's a little vague, but we have a plan we've been working on for a while that will be rolled out really soon here. Let's see. Yeah, all the questions are about playtesting. I understand that we took an opportunity to playtest live in person with people before you guys have got your hands on the game. Again, it's an opportunity that fell into our lap. We were not preparing for it. We made ourselves ready for it because the opportunity fell into our laps, but we weren't quite set up for it yet. So I wouldn't read into it too much. It's really something that just fell into our laps. And again, the next, especially 2 to 3 months, but the next 6 months are all about getting you guys in, having you guys play, creating a fun experience for you guys as well. And I'm really, really excited about it. I literally can't wait to unveil it. I spend my weekends staying up and like planning documentation for it and getting oriented from the previous week and making sure everything's in order. So I know it's rough, but just a little more patience. Just a little more patience, and the game will be in your guys' hands. I promise. Right, another question just popped up. Ford, if you want to come up and talk too, that's fine. We're kind of out of the text questions, so I'm happy to speak if you want to come on up. Yeah, he's got his. Let me click on that. He's got his hand up. I'm not able to welcome Forge up, Sword Forge up to the stage. Are you guys able to?
Yeah, he's
Thank you. Awesome.
Sorry, I had my my mic on mute there. Hey guys, thanks for bringing me up here. Yeah, I guess the question I had was if you think about the total size of the gamer market for roguelike or roguelite. I mean, I totally can appreciate that Slay the Spire was a hit game, and that there's several other games, right, that are probably making several tens of millions of dollars a year in the gaming market. But given the gaming market is a multi-billion-dollar market, I guess like the total roguelite genre is maybe like I don't know what the math is, but like a percent, say, or a few percent maybe at most. So then if you think about like there's maybe like 100,000 people that would actually consider themselves gamers that are Solana native, would realistically, what kind of expectations do you have for daily active users like going into beyond beta? Like today it's probably 100, right, for beta, but going into next year and a full launch, and even if you do all of your amazing social media penetration, do you really think you can get like beyond like 1,000 daily active users next year?
Sounds like a challenge. No,
No, I mean, you know me.
I'm totally joking, Ford. Yeah, no, it's a great question. I mean, I really, so there's a lot of depth to the question you asked, and there's quite a few things to unpack. I don't want to say like assumptions because I agree with you. So let me kind of set the stage here. Yeah, there's not a lot of gamers in crypto that we've seen, especially in the bear market. I think that people are really looking for, they want the hype, they want the maybe short payoff things that gives them more reliable gains. People, of course, always love to gamble on mints. But there's not an insanely huge Web3 market out there. So I think, the way I take your question is like, what do you consider success, and like, what are your plans for scaling? That's kind of what I'm getting from your question. Yeah. So
Totally.
for me, success is not measured by DAU. It's more so measured by the steady climb of DAU. It's how, is it climbing steadily month over month, or at the very least, some months is there growth, and some months when there's less happening, is there no attrition at all? So, realistically, I think 1,000 like DAU is a pretty good number to reach for, especially in the coming like 6 months. And I think that success, this is a common thing that startups fall into, especially. Success doesn't have to be measured by like going after the largest market possible. Like, we don't have to go after the FPS market to be successful. We don't have to go after the MMO market, to be successful, which is a huge part of of the gaming world. What we need to be successful is a steadily growing audience who are excited by the depth of the game, with like continual improvements to the product. And I really think that, like, again, a game takes 3 to 5 years to build, right? Like, on average, that's the statistic everyone throws out. I'm sure you see it all over Twitter. But I really think that for us, success is steady growth. And any type of steady growth, 5% a month, even like 1% every month for the first 3 months is incredible. And that's the type of momentum that we need to carry us forward until eventually we're at the point where, in 3 to 5 years, the game is like really, really complete and has the depth you would expect out of like a Slay the Spire type game. Does that answer your question? I'm happy to talk about it more. Like I think it's veered off course.
No, I think that was totally on course. And I guess maybe just a quick follow-up. If you think about what Axie have launched with Axie Origins, which I haven't played, but I've heard it's like a Slay the Spire type game. I just wonder, do you benchmark it all against them, or have you looked at their game and seen how they've been able to grow and penetrate? Because obviously they had, they had a massive takeoff, and then, the first iteration obviously crashed very famously, right? Or infamously, I guess. But they're still kicking, right? And they had raised a lot of money, and they're now back at it with a new version. So is that, like for me, if they have an existing community and they can't drive growth in that genre, just, not that I worry, because I think your art and style and everything could be so much better than that, right? I'm just kind of curious though, as what you thought, if you look at Axie Origin, the recent Origins really specifically, and how that stacks up with or how that affects your thinking.
Yeah, absolutely. We look at Axie. We looked at Axie in the beginning. That was kind of like the gold standard when we started. It was like, holy crap, this game's doing very, very well. Their DAU is huge. Their revenue is great. Like they're penetrating a market that seemed impenetrable for crypto, which was namely third world countries that were looking for, some type of minimum wage. I'm going to answer your question in parts. So yes, we look at Axie. Yes, we have played Origins. They did mention it's inspired by Slay the Spire. I think that there are some pretty key differences with our game that give it a little more depth and make gameplay faster. Specifically, one of the biggest complaints that the game design team has about Origins is that it's a little slow of gameplay. It's not necessarily exciting, and there's not a lot of options for modularity. Now they're adding in modularity options as they go that may help increase depth. But I think when thinking about Axie, this is at least the way I think about it. There's a total divorce like of people who play the game because they like it, and the meteoric rise and the financialization of their assets, right? Like I'm going to throw out this phrase, and again, no shade, but this is something I say in private somewhat often. I believe that Axie was actually successful in spite of themselves. Because what Axie did is they launched a game, which was at the time amazing. The concept for the game was like, we are like a playable version of CryptoKitties, right? Like it's breeding, it's this kind of unique, like almost Mendelian genetics type of thing where you're breeding these Axies and you have these different probabilities of getting these different Axies that are playable. That was kind of the genesis of the project, at least from what I've read and heard in interviews with the founders. Now, Axie's growth was specifically because of third parties called guilds. Now, we're all familiar with guilds. I don't think I need to go into a deep explanation of what they are. But those third parties were the key means of user acquisition for Axie. And the type of thing that they were offering and their marketing campaign for the guilds and their user acquisition was literally like make minimum wage playing video game on your phone. Like that's it. And the guilds had huge penetration into the working class markets of Southeast Asia specifically. So I really think like Axie does have an audience, but I think that most of their audience was brought in by a specific narrative that may be no longer true. And I think that naturally what you're going to see is attrition. You're going to see like huge attrition. So when you talk about their community of interested people, I just wonder, like, is the question for those people, can I earn? What can I earn? I don't know if it's about enjoying the depth of gameplay for most people. And my hope is that with Kaiju Cards, our positioning is this isn't make minimum wage. This is play a fun game, own your assets, and potentially there's some upside involved in that process, you know?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that makes a lot of sense. And I guess, yeah, it's probably getting into the weeds a little bit on Axie because I haven't studied it, but I just wonder after all those, folks that wanted to make minimum wage kind of go away, right? And they kind of focus on a fun game and hope to retain some residual, fans of a game, right? How does that grow just as a benchmark, right? And I just think it's interesting because it just happens to be one of the biggest games, right? And it's the same genre as what Kaiju were doing. And I don't really see any other, let's say similar genre, right? And I don't really see any other game in Solana really kind of as a direct competition at all to, to what you're building. So
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah.
Yeah. No, I don't mind getting into the weeds at all. I think that Axie is a fascinating case study. I think it's truly fascinating. It's like the thing that nobody predicted would happen is that the most used crypto app potentially ever is like this game that came out of nowhere, right? So I'm happy to talk about it anytime. Certainly in our early designs, we're looking at Axie quite a bit. What else was there to look at? You know, like we were looking at Axie, we were looking at Splinterlands. There's a couple others, Alien Worlds, which is really like just a UI interface where the whole game takes place with a lot of text. It's really interesting, but the space has changed dramatically since we started, you know, and there are more examples to look at. Like we can look at Aurori, we can study their rollout plans, their plans for sustainability. There's a wealth of white papers to study. There's exciting things happening in the Treasure DAO ecosystem, where just a couple weeks ago I saw the second ever roguelike deck builder in the crypto space that I'm aware of. The first being Kaiju Cards, the second being a game called Knights of Ether over in the Treasure DAO ecosystem. So I think you're asking amazing questions, and I really think like there's no roadmap. There's no path to, there's no solidified path to success. We don't really know what sustainable growth looks like. Like Axie had a meteoric rise, huge DAU during the peak of the bull market. And then the price crashed and people were, I mean, rightfully so, like pretty devastated and unhappy. I think a lot of people lost a lot of money. So, a lot of our plans here at Kaiju Cards revolve around trying to avoid that type of situation, trying to avoid like a meteoric rise paired with unsustainable economics that eventually end up in a lot of pain in the market and for the players. That being said, we only have an example of when that goes wrong. We don't have any examples of when that goes right that I'm aware of. I mean, are you? I'd be curious to know. Is anyone aware of an example of when that's gone right? Because I'd love to study it. I'm like an avid studier of the space.
No, not me personally. I do, however, just remember during NFT LA, I went to an Axie Infinity event. I actually even got a shirt, and it was like right in the midst of them getting hacked. So I've only seen negatives
Oh
from
no!
the scale. Yeah.
Ouch. Yeah.
I'd like to
It's tough.
add a few things in
Please.
this discussion. So,
Yeah.
one quick note is, with Kaiju Cards, we're really aiming for consistent and stable growth. When you have spikes like Axie had, there are a lot of elements that kind of worked in their favor. Timing was full on bull market. I mean, you couldn't have had a better timing. But when you have incredible spikes in concurrent users and spikes in floor prices, and more times than not, that's not sustainable. When you have like just a massive spike up, it's not the most sustainable thing in the world. So that's where the elevator comes back in, and then you get volatility. You get volatility in prices. You get, it's you have shaky grounds. You have a shaky foundation to work with. And so what we're looking for, especially in this bull market, is to survive. And to survive, you need to be stable, sustainable growth. And so month over month, just sustainable, stable growth in users is key. Another point I want to make is, in the traditional video gaming space, you can consider it Web 2 or however you want to consider that. The roguelikes and roguelites, they may be niche genres and they may serve as a small sliver of the overall market. That being said, in the Web3 space, the competition is so small and there are such a small selection of games that the actual genre isn't as critical here, because you don't have a nice portfolio of games to meet every genre so that individuals in this space can be selective over their preference of game. It's not there yet. This is more of a liquid space at this point. So what you want to do is find a balance between play, meaning the game needs to be of good quality. The kind of holy grail right now is to have a video game that feels like the general experience that you would get from a traditional video game within the Web 2 or whatever you want to consider that space. So from play side, it just needs to be a good game. That's first and foremost. That's the overall goal, is to make an exceptional game that feels genuinely like a game. Unfortunately, that's very few and far between at this moment. The other category is earn. You can play to earn, play and earn, whatever you want to look at, however you want to look at that. The earn side of things also needs to be sustainable. Again, you don't want floor prices to just go through the moon overnight, because that's not sustainable. And eventually there will be a crash and a lot of people will lose money. And then you genuinely don't want massive volatility. You want the game to be excellent. You want the game to be something that you want to play. You want to play because you enjoy the game. But then the other side of it is do want to earn from it. But does that mean you need to earn hundreds of thousands of dollars worth? That'd be amazing. That'd be great. But that wouldn't be sustainable. And that, then you're kind of just eventually looking at an Axie situation where things just kind of fall off the rails. You don't go up to the moon forever. And that's anything in investing. You don't go to the moon forever. So you want sustainable long-term growth that will, that will create survival through a bear market. And then ideally, that's where you start to really see, some more significant but also stable jumps later on as we get into a new bull market. But at this moment in time, really, our heads are down focusing on creating a video game that gives you the experience of what you would expect out of a video game in the traditional space that is genuinely fun. And in this Web3 space, if we can just do that, that alone will attract people that have played video games growing up that aren't necessarily within this particular genre. Meaning, we'll have people that have played sports games like Madden. We'll have people that play games like World of Warcraft, or just a variety of genre mixes. That if we create a good enough game, they'll still give Kaiju Cards a try, because in this space, competition is so small, or it's so low rather. There's not a diverse mix of very good games. So you'll have people that'll kind of come over to check it out, because that's also not the main motivator. There's a motivation balance and mix in Web3, because we are so early. So you have people that are interested in the space to earn, and speculate, and play a good game. They want to be able to enjoy a game while earning money or earning value as well. And kind of the best segment of that is someone who wants to really enjoy the game, and the idea that their time isn't wasted while playing that game and they're actually making some money. That's a benefit too, and there's good balance there. You don't want it to be leaning heavily on one side or the other. If you lean on the earn side, then you become more of a speculator, and you're there for price action. You're there for, I want to go to the moon. That's not, again, that's not sustainable. That's not something that'll keep a project going over the long term. And then on the opposite end, if you're just there for playing the games, well, you're not going to be here yet, because there aren't games that are truly exceptional yet. They don't exist. There's some that are okay, and you can convince yourself that, yay, this is a game. I'm playing a game. But there's nothing here that you would put down, or you'd put down maybe, Fortnite or Call of Duty, or pick a AAA game. There's really not a game here yet where you'd put that down to play in the Web3 space. So that's where that barrier is, where you have places like Fractal. They're trying to chip away at that barrier to get gamers over here. Well, the traditional gamers that aren't really interested in the earn side of things, they're still in the Web 2 space. So they're not even here yet. So we're really ideally looking down the middle at those that, yes, I enjoy playing video games. I've played them growing up, but also I'm very excited about the possibility of earning. That there's a true value proposition in the space to be able to play video games, and it's not wasting my time. I don't feel like I'm wasting my time because I'm earning. So when you find that, that's the target audience. Individuals that have that balance of the two, the play and the earned, and we're kind of creating this product geared towards them. And to do so effectively, we need to create an incredibly quality game first. With earning obviously being a major point of it as well. But that's, again, we're looking for long-term stable growth, because that's what's going to equate to survival through macro bear market. And then also it's just gonna be a better overall product for everyone involved. Hope all that made sense.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah, I
it
mean,
made a ton of sense. I was just going to quickly chime in and say that
Please
it
go,
feels
yeah,
like the rate of growth will be kind of like a function of how fast Solana grows over time. And yeah, I think slow and steady and sustainable makes a ton of sense.
Yeah, slow and steady genuinely wins the race. You know what I mean? Like that's what you wanna aim for, is to create a kick-ass game, and then you're gonna, again, in this space, we're gonna have people that are gonna want to play this game that aren't necessarily roguelite diehards. We're going to have people that are going to try it out because it's kick-ass, you know, in this Web3 space, because it's going to be one of the few that are genuinely really good. You know, that's genuinely a good experience. And Dr. Peepee is here, so I'm good. I'm going to pass it over to him. It's great. All right, we got Dr. Peepee here.
I have
What's up,
I have
dude?
one thing
Available.
What's up, Dr. PP? I have one thing I want to say, just to wrap kind of that up. Ford, you mentioned, you know, there's X amount, we don't know the amount. There's X amount of people in the Solana ecosystem, and that's where we are currently. If we can slowly rise over 6 months, a year, to even being more and more visible to just those people, that's an amazing starting place. That is where it truly starts, right? So the goal isn't to go out and capture 100% of the Solana ecosystem right now and get them all in. The goal is to beat the drum, gain momentum, show people what we're doing, show people we're building, coupled with a highly iterative process, shipping process specifically of the game that you probably have never seen in Web 2. I really, the plan that we have is specifically crafted to be catered to the Web 3 space. And I'm going to be very curious to hear your guys' input as we go and kind of adjust the plan, what felt good, what didn't. But the more that we can just like slowly gain momentum within the market that we exist in, that's really phase one. And that's what we're focused on. I'd consider that phase one of kind of the rollout of our product, of our game. I'd consider that happening for the next 6 months to a year. From there, once we reach that critical mass, there's quite a bit of expansion we could do to other chains. The game may be refined enough at that point, 6 months to a year, where we can start doing some bigger, I'm reading your message here, Ford. Yeah, Rifters is really interesting. I've been following along what they do. I think that the thing is that it's not PvP currently, but yeah, I'd like to talk about that more. And really, like, look, I'm planning on being in Twitter Spaces like more often. We can talk over there. If this is, you know, if you guys are feeling like you want to talk more, I'm happy to set up a time a week or like, you know, every once in a while where I'm just in the Discord chilling too and talking. I think there's a lot to dig into. I totally cut off Dr. PP and I want to give him some chance to speak here.
Hello, no worries. How's everybody
What's
doing?
up?
Good morning, Shabbat Shalom, Assalamu alaikum, alaikum salam, all of you religious folk today on a great, fantastic Wednesday. Really great for everyone to be here, having a blast. You guys have no idea about this demo. I played the demo like last week, and I'm mega excited about it. So, I don't know what else to tell you. It's gonna be super fly. It's gonna be hot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's extremely fun, and I know it's like it's really encouraging for the rest of our team to kind of see everything kind of come alive. After you've been working on something for so long, it's just like now it's like the baby is born. The baby is coming. It's got 10 fingers, and it's gonna be fun. It's a smart little baby. So we're having a good time, and I just really I know. I'm sure the team can speak on this too, but it's just been kind of like a really nice emotional like last 2 weeks, just seeing everything kind of come together, and um, yeah, hope we can show you guys stuff as things come down the pike. But yeah, yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, sir. It looks like solo player also came up. If you wanted to go for it, my friend.
How's it? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Greetings from South Africa.
Hey, greetings. What time
So-
is it for you?
It's like 9:15 in the evening.
Okay, cool.
So I've got 2 comments, more than really questions. So yeah, it's not necessarily a discussion. If you want to, address it, cool. The one concern I have what I normally see games do, startups do, a lot of people do, is that they tend to try and create this perfect product before they open it up for people. And sometimes, not all the time, sometimes the product was kind of built around what the developers thought was cool and what they liked. And because there wasn't necessarily a lot of feedback, then the product failed. And I actually had a friend that developed a product, I think they spent $20 million on it. And then after 2 years of development, when they were ready to release, no one wanted to use the product. So they had to scrap that product. So that's kind of like one of the big major learnings that I learned quickly, is to try and get a type of feedback loop from external people. And in this case, maybe the holders might be a good test to kind of get some feedback, just to kind of make sure that you're not just building something that maybe just one or two people like, but that a lot of people like, if that kind of makes sense.
I can
So that's a pretty.
Oh, sorry.
go ahead.
I have
Yeah.
sorry. Hi, I'm Andrew, a Big Bilbo, one of the artists on the team.
Well,
I don't know if I've
much
spoken
more
on...
than an artist. Don't sell yourself short, my friend.
I saw your question earlier, and I've been like, I have some things I want to say on that. Like, we are playtesting with people outside of the circle of holders. One of the reasons like why the demo, like being held live at 2-bit was held, was it's like much more controllable audience, and it's people who aren't super familiar. Like, we want to see how it performs with people who aren't like we have our target audience in mind, basically, is what I'm getting at, and we are like playtesting with them fairly actively. We're trying to build a game that is or we are building a game that is going to pull in people that are not native to playing games in general. Like, not a lot of people that do typically like that don't like playing, like they're not gamers, quote unquote. And so we want to, like, one of the reasons why we haven't released to holders yet, like the main reason that I can think of is we don't want it to, like, it's not as controllable. There's a lot of things that we have planned. Sorry, my brain got scrambled a little bit. Like, in the space of a physical demo, it's really easy to control who sees it, get their feedback directly. If we release it to the community, which we will be doing soon for holders, it has the potential to spiral out of our scope, if that makes sense. Like, we are not a huge team, like just like, just a handful of people for the time being. And so if we release, like, we get thousands upon thousands of eyes that all have their own, like, feedback and stuff. And it's not like we aren't taking feedback. Like, the live game demo gave us a lot of feedback that was really important for us, because we had like a wide breadth of people who both play a lot of, like, Slay the Spire style games and are very familiar with the space, and a lot of people who weren't at the same time. And basically, yeah, it's just managing, like, what we control, and making sure that it doesn't go outside of our scope. If that answers
One thing,
your question.
like, yeah, like I completely agree with that. And if I could jump in here, like, I know it's like an old adage of, like, if you're not shipping with bugs, then you've shipped too late. And I think, like, we still hold that mentality. And what we want to do is, like, we're not perfectionists. We want to get things right, but at the same time, it's like really important for us to iterate and get things to where we want them to be. And we're certainly looking for feedback when the time comes. And, like, yeah, I know exactly the trope that you're talking about, and I've seen many game teams, like, succumb to this. But I do think that we're on the clear path here, just because of how fast that we're iterating and how quickly, like, we there's a lot of plans that are in the works, and you guys are gonna get to see a lot pretty soon here.
Cool, thank you, Sia. Just the thought that I wanted to leave was just, you make a lot of awesome statements like, we're going to get people that don't necessarily play games and all of that. But like, based on what feedback do you have to kind of like help guide that? And I know that, yes, you can get overwhelmed. I had a tech startup. I had 4 people on the team, so I've got a pretty good idea of having a small team and having deliverables. We had about 100 or so alpha and beta testers. So I have a good feeling about the type of feedback that you get, but there's definitely certain themes that come out, and it's definitely, you will instinctively know that this is a pretty big thing that we need to fix. And, prioritizing it, that's something that the team internally can do, but you can only do that if you actually have some feedback to work from. So yeah, just wanted to leave that thought with you guys.
Yeah, appreciate it. So that is 100% part of the plan, and that is coming in the next like 60 calendar days, most likely, maybe even sooner. So for sure, part of the plan, for sure, have seen many startups think they need to perfect the product before they get it out. I don't know how familiar you are with game development and game design specifically, but it does take a little longer than like a SaaS product or some type of other like tech product. We've also shipped 2 other products already, which we've gathered substantial feedback on and iterated on. Like, I don't know if you're around for Genesis Quests, but we shipped Genesis Quests, got some feedback on it, shipped a new version in 2 weeks. Which addressed like every single complaint we could think of. We shipped the Sword Forge. It was buggy. We fixed it up. The next experience of it was, quite smooth. I think that we only reported like 1 or 2 bugs from users. So I would point to our history as really the way of validating, like, we have the mentality of being scrappy as you need to in a startup. We have the mentality of shipping, getting user feedback, and it just needs to be like at the right time where we can properly, 1, make it happen, and 2, integrate the feedback in a good way, and 3, like, be pretty loud about this very unique process that you don't see in Web2 games. You don't see it very often at all. Like, the closest thing is maybe a Kickstarter or an early access model. But those happen to a small select group. They usually happen like somewhat deep into game development. There's all these parameters around it. Logan has been a part of quite a few of those experiences. So I totally agree, solo player. It's very important to get a good feedback loop going. With external people, it's very important to not be perfectionists. That's usually kind of the mark of death in creative pursuits, in technological pursuits, business pursuits. I think that we are of the same mind as you. And again, like in the next 60 calendar days max, my inclination is to say in the next 40-ish calendar days, it's going to be in your guys' hands. You're going to be playing, giving feedback, and we're going to be making a lot of noise about that community involvement process in the game as well.
Cool, thank you, and I'm looking forward to the next couple of months.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to be talking a lot more. Like I said, we'll be in Twitter Spaces. We'll be, hanging out on Discord. This is the first town hall where we've actually had, many team members around. So I look forward to talking with you guys a lot more. I know that we've been silent. I know that we've been building behind the scenes. I think the point that Andrew brought up about it being, it's kind of controlled chaos. And the point is to get more and more levels of controlled chaos as we go, right? Playtesting among friends and family, other friends we have in the game industry, people who have never seen Kaiju Cards before, have no vested interest whatsoever, can give us just their honest feedback. It's kind of phase 1 of controlled chaos, right? Phase 2 is integrating all that feedback, getting it to holders, integrating their feedback, shipping another version of the game, quickly, iteratively. Like, I'm talking like weeks, like new version of the game for you to play. So I know, you guys are patient as hell. Like, that's it. That's my takeaway. You guys are patient as hell. I think that you have great points, solo player, especially with your experience in a tech startup is really relevant. You guys are patient as hell. That's it. That's all. Thanks for being patient. I greatly appreciate it. Was anyone able to hear my doorbell ring?
Yeah, I
Yes.
heard it.
Yeah.
Who's at the door?
I think it's a delivery. I
You guys want to do a live unboxing with Mike? Mike, can you quickly turn on your video, please? Can you let's do a live unboxing right now.
Let's do it. Yeah. What did I order? What are the guesses?
I'm gonna guess
No
it's
guess.
like
No guesses.
no get. Drywall screws is my guess.
Drywall screws. What am I doing with the drywall screws?
You're not using them for drywall. That's all I can say.
Wow. Bold statement. Very bold. I believe that the delivery is my girlfriend ordering food because I didn't order anything.
Oh my god.
My girlfriend works in HR at a multinational law firm, and it's long hours. And lately, it's been lots of meetings. So the food deliveries have been aplenty the past couple weeks. Oh yeah, you're right, Tyler. She ordered swords. It's actually just 10,000 swords. It's the rest of the supply of the Genesis swords, and my girlfriend ordered them. So sorry. No, I think it's Amazon auto delivery of toilet paper. Also a good yes. The order is non-broadcastable material. I shouldn't have revealed what it was. I should have kept you guys guessing. Now you know it's just boring old food. I'm curious.
When are we? I was
Oh,
just
go
gonna
ahead.
ask when.
Yeah.
When are we thinking about doing our spaces? That'd be really fun to talk about. I'm really excited
Yeah.
about hopping into spaces.
Yeah. It's looking like Tuesday at 6 p.m. UTC, which is like 11 a.m. our time, West Coast time.
Right on. I'm very excited.
Yeah, I mean, we're basically just going to be doing this in the spaces. I think it'll be good to hang, just talk, get questions. Hopefully, people who are on Twitter and maybe not joining us for this town hall are also in there and asking stuff.
Yes, sir.
Pancake, I know, you mentioned you might come up and ask some questions. I'm curious if you want to come on up and talk a little bit.
Hello.
Hey, what's up, man?
What's up, guys? I actually don't have any
What's going on?
questions, but I'm happy to just say hi and I guess introduce myself for the people that don't know.
Please,
I'm Pancake. I'm like, I don't know. I guess you could just say Kaiju's biggest fan. Willing to fight anyone for that one.
Yeah.
And
Everyone
yeah,
knows Pancake.
I think that's for sure the right description.
right, yeah. And just moderating the Discord. And I'm recording this right now, so but yeah, that's all that I do basically.
Yeah, Pancake. I mean, you minted, right? You minted with us.
Yeah, I minted the Alpha collection.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. So our second mint. So I mean, you've been here with the project, like, maybe even a little longer than Fizz, which is crazy because Fizz is like that. You guys are OGs.
Yeah, for sure. I think it was like 1 month before Fizz or something, but she definitely qualifies as OG as well.
Yep.
I'm
So
senior,
no,
but
I
Pancake
mean,
is super senior.
what does that make me?
Let's not talk about that.
Super, super.
So I mean, did we have like questions that you had that were answered during the town hall?
Me? I don't think so. I didn't really have anything prepared because you know, I've already asked everything I wanted to ask the past town halls, and yeah, I think it's pretty clear, like the direction the project is going in right now, and it's just waiting for the playtesting basically. So yeah, excited to learn more about that soon.
Yeah, absolutely. We have quite the patient community. I'm very just floored by your patience. I know everyone keeps waiting for the game. It's been a little over a year now, and I'm really excited to get it out there.
What do you guys think of like I'm just curious, like you guys have been seeing a little bit of like what happened over at 2-Bit Circus and stuff. I'm just really curious, like what's the response? Was that fun to see?
That was awesome to see. I would love to just you know, learn a bit about like what the reactions were from people, especially people that weren't familiar with the project. I don't know if you guys can.
I don't have the full view of it, but from what I saw, like since there were about like 20 different projects that were there that were showing off their demos, and I mean, I could be biased, but I feel like we always had people playing our game, and there's a real just level of interest there. I think because we went in like the character direction, and some of these other games were just they don't really have that sort of like that the feel of like humanity. I don't know. Maybe I'm biased here, but I feel like everyone had a good time and felt like our team was like really receptive to like everyone's feedback. And yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
That was a common thread across everyone that pretty much played, was that if they weren't familiar like with this style of project, it was the characters that drew them in, and they wanted to like just, you know, interact with them, and that, like, so definitely like the character draw is just the biggest one for sure.
I had multiple people say to me, both staff members of 2-Bit and people just at the park, when they came to play the game, they said, this is the one I'm most excited about. I don't know, you know, some of them I asked like, well, how did you know about us? And they're like, well, we saw you on the flyer, and then we checked out your website, and it looks great, you know. I'm not quite sure how they heard about us. Staff members obviously knew who was coming ahead of time. But yeah, multiple people said that to me, and I'm not trying to blow smoke up our ass, for lack of a better descriptor. Like, people were just excited, and I think that's, you know, it's due to a lot to our presentation, our visual presentation, the characters, the kind of world, all that. The feedback in general was like a lot of the feedback was about like visual stuff, like this is hard to see, or this wasn't immediately intuitive to me, you know. The feedback generally tends to be things that could be better, but we did get some really positive receptions about, like, you know, classes, character animations, kind of, you know, it getting difficult and not being easy to beat. The main thing was, like, again, visual stuff, really, like, this wasn't intuitive, or I wasn't able to see this, or like this character was blocking this other character's like icon, and it, you know, stuff like that. And then of course people just being like, well, I wish like there was more rooms. I wish there was more of this, more of that. I'm curious. I mean, maybe Andrew or maybe like Tyler or Charlie can like give a description about like the actual run structure, like in the demo that we showed. It's a greatly abbreviated run, but there is a structure and like a difficulty ramp. I'm wondering, yeah, Tyler, do you wanna, or Drew, and one of you,
like, what are we allowed to say before I start? Is it fine if I just give like a breakdown of. I feel like I'm very
Yeah,
like good
yeah.
at oversharing. Okay, all right.
Yeah,
So
no,
hi
just
everyone.
tell them, describe the gameplay and what people went through
Okay.
and the
Yeah,
difficulty
yeah.
curve and all that. Don't tell them about what's in the code because
I don't know what's in the
Yeah.
code, so it's fine.
Perfect,
But
perfect.
yeah. Okay. So you got 5 rooms. And each one has a ramping difficulty of enemies. I think the demo you guys are going to play is going to have a slightly different assortment of enemies, so I won't go over those in detail. But yeah, you progress through like 4 rooms that increase in difficulty, and then there's a room where you can heal your characters and a boss. That's the current structure. Plus, like obviously the character select screen. And I think it was taking most people between like 15 to 30 minutes to get through the entirety of that. Most people did not get through in their first try. Very few people, I think, were able to make it through the boss at demo night. It was really interesting. Like that was my biggest takeaway. It was like just seeing different people approach it and like intuitively either like really pick it up based on their prior experience of like similar archetypes of games, or like take longer to get the like feel for the mechanics. But I think like more people got further than I thought they were going to as a whole, which was like nice to see. Because we want to make the game like a little hard, I feel like early on it was like a little too easy, and now it's like something you have to like actually actively try to like really work at in order to get through, which is what games should be. It's like a puzzle that you probably won't get on your first try. But yeah, it's the general breakdown. It's like 5 rooms escalating in difficulty and the boss at the end. Charlie, do you have something?
Yeah. So most people died. I mean, most people didn't get through. I think almost no one got through. But
Yeah.
like once you know the game, it's pretty straightforward to beat it in its current form. It's kind of a situation where we've been wanting to do more serious and more rigorous playtesting for a long time. Finally, we have the entire team playtesting, and iterate with the iterations like just picked up in pace a lot during last week. We were able to like work together, um, be in the same space, and just go through tons of iterations before showing it in this public space. I think there's like we're kind of standing on the shoulders of giants, being in the roguelike deck builder genre and just being another card game. I think there's so many great card games to learn from. I've been, we've been following a lot of different roguelike deck builders, and some that have been released for a long time that are more mature. And I think the recent release of Marvel Snap is kind of interesting, and I've been listening to different people talk about strategy with that. And yeah, with just I mean the discussion has just been really exciting in the genre, and there's so many different ways that these battles can go. It's not all about difficulty go up, strength go up. It's we want the rooms to feel like a series of different puzzles or rooms that like reward different kinds of gameplay. So um, yeah, with like Mimic, for example, in its current form is like probably not as difficult as the room before it. Um, but I think it's just a thing of like, you know, uh, I think opening up to the community is awesome. You guys are like going to be. I think there's going to be a lot of great playtesters in this community, and like you guys are going to help build it into what it needs to be. I think at the same time that it's just been extremely valuable to say, okay, does the game make sense? Is it learnable? Do people who don't have vested interest? I really picked up the pace a lot. So another week of this, we have another demo coming up next week. Playtesters, strangers, just a lot of them have played roguelike deck builders. Sit down, try it out, give their feedback. Some of them are game design students. Yeah, so it's kind of a thing of, we want to have a really good first impression when you guys start playing, and also to be in a position where the variability from run to run is really strong, and you can be playtesting something that already has a lot of momentum and has a lot of the basic stuff worked out. Yeah.
And like, if you guys want to beta test, you guys want to fly down to LA, come to 2-Bit Circus. We're completely comfortable with that. To make your way down, no problem, no problem.
I don't recommend anyone flies out, for sure. But yeah, so what's happening next week is there's something at 2-Bit Circus. It's called Web3 Salon that they host specifically for Web3. It's like roundtable discussions. I will be leading one of the roundtable discussions. And then afterwards, they've offered to basically like have a station again where we have the game. I'm fairly certain this is a invite type of deal with industry people, but I will double check and make sure. I don't know if we have any people in LA, but that could be really cool. The whole team will be in LA again, and really, it's like Charlie said, it's getting the game in front of people that have zero previous knowledge about the game is the most pure form of feedback you can possibly get, right? It's just totally distilled. This is confusing. This is, this is attractive. This is unattractive. This makes sense. This part's fun. This part's aggravating. That has all been really helpful. And really what we're using these 2-Bit Circus events for is a springboard to, like Charlie said, iterate super quickly and then get the game in your guys' hands as soon as possible. And by the point it's in your hands, we expect it to be something that you can play, you can think about, you can give really, really valuable feedback on, and we can integrate that. Like, we're set up to integrate that really quickly.
That's awesome, guys. I just wanted to ask a question like about something you said. Percy, I guess, or
Yeah.
I guess all of you. Because you mentioned the run being 5 rooms. Is that just something that is just temporary, or is that something that is like part of the game design going forward? Because I'm like a big Slay the Spire fan and player, and one thing that I really enjoy about the game is that it's like a long run with a lot of rooms, and you will like see the same enemies multiple times, right? But like, so it's still
sorry, to be clear, it's just for the demo. Because we're trying to keep it like small and manageable. The idea long term is to have the dungeons be like very big, like comparable probably to Slay the Spire, where they're like expansive and multi-tiered. But right now it's just it's a small hex map, just for like making it a like manageable thing, both for people to like play and understand, and also for us to build. But moving forward, once we have like a pipeline down now, right, for making rooms, and that'll make making future rooms and bigger maps easier.
Yeah, and will will the maps be? Oh, sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna ask. Like, I assume the maps will be randomly generated. Because the one now, I assume it's just set by you guys, but it will be randomized, right? Randomized.
Yes. Yep. For sure. Yeah, so where we're at right now is we need a small game loop with finality. We need the finality locked down in the general flow. That 5 rooms seems to like make sense. It's a 15 to 30 minute game loop that's playable. Like, ideally when you're playtesting, like people are experiencing like a lot of the content that's available, right? Like, and if it's if you could spend, I mean, I know people who spend hours playing Slay the Spire, like hours on a single run. I don't think that's a very robust playtesting experience for people. So we kind of have this small closed loop game loop with finality. But yeah, the idea is branching. It's branching map with branching paths. with variability, just like you would in Slay the Spire. You have, event rooms, you have rest sites, you have a merchant perhaps of some kind, elite enemies, regular enemies,
Secrets.
all of
so
that good stuff. Yeah. Go ahead, Charlie. Sorry.
when you're in a 2-hour run, it's like the stakes are really high. Whether you're learning the game or you've been playing it for. I mean, if you've been playing it for a long time, you're probably going to get through in 45 minutes, or at least that's what everyone claims. But like I think the stakes get kind of higher when you have this whole run at stake, and if you lose your in this case, there's 3 characters. If you lose your last character, um the risk might be pretty high, right? So I think that's a really exciting part of it. Yeah, it's like we have so much work left to do, and like building it out. But what we currently have is like a base to start from. That said, I think like community feedback stuff, like if there's big fans of Slay the Spire, I think just like if you want to post just maybe some of your favorite um, types of enemies in Slay the Spire, or like maybe you have ideas for variations of enemies that they did, or their attack patterns, or the buffs and debuffs that they use. Like we're game. I mean, I don't think that's talking about your favorite rooms in Slay the Spire is going to be harmful, or any interesting like um any stuff that gets you really excited about the game that you want to talk about is all fair game for sure. I think that we are drawing a lot of inspiration from these games, not just Slay the Spire, also Roguebook and Griftlands, and then there's these really mature collectible card games, Skyweaver, Gods Unchained, that are just setting really strong examples for what's possible in the space. And then I mean, Tyler and Drew have been playing card games for years, and NTG Arena, and unfortunately, it's not going to be exactly like Warhammer 40,000. We played a lot of StarCraft also, but anyways, So any like stuff that you love from this genre of games, if you want to post it and talk about it, I think that wouldn't hurt at all. Like I think that would be awesome.
Yeah, I think I'll just wait for the playtest first, and then I'll be sure to play test as much as I can and give as much feedback as I can as well, and suggestions. So yeah.
Yeah, right now we're like all the enemies are evil. Yeah, all the enemies are like evil versions of the characters. So that that's our starting point right now. I think the more enemies we design, the more interesting it's going to be, because you want to discover, you want to be able to fight these different guys. Also in the current design, like you can see everything that you're going to encounter, so you can the depth of strategy, I think arguably could be just because you can see exactly which enemies are going to be in which rooms. That opens the door to, I think, a depth of strategy that's deeper, because you in Slay the Spire, you only know if it's a normal enemy or an elite, and you find out when you go into the room if you know exactly what's in each room, and are familiar with the strategy for fighting those characters, and know what your deck is capable of, then that, to me, that opens up more doors, because there's less randomness. So it opens the depth of strategy, but from a game design perspective. But yeah, I mean, it seems like we'll probably ship a version to you guys with, a lot less than like the 16 rooms or whatever. But I think the loop of like each room just taking a minute or two, maybe a hard room is 5 minutes. I think that loop is really important. You can always, quit the game, close your tab, come back. It'll be in exactly the state that it was last in. Unfortunately, you can't restart the room. You can't save and quit and start the room over again. But we are like really interested in allowing a couple of undos. Because if you misplay, like an hour in, it could be really excruciating. You might really, really just want to undo it. And the architecture that we built it with, allows us to just turn that on like a switch. So I think undoing might be a really important game design aspect, as well as anything that opens up depth of strategy more and makes randomness like a smaller factor, I think.
Yeah. I think this is the first time that we've had like pretty much anyone besides Logan and I, and then Fizz and 3D and Pancake from like the Kaiju Cards team at large in the town hall. So that's really exciting. I think that like over the coming months, it's going to be really good to talk a lot more. I think you'll be hearing a lot more from Andrew and Tyler and Cribbing Percy, who I've said his real name a few times now today, without asking him if I should, but
Oh no, that's fine.
yeah.
But yeah, like Drew and Tyler are really like kind of the real hardcore game designers, and I'm kind of along for the ride and kind of the lead game programmer. So it's been really fun to work on this stuff. So we definitely want to integrate you guys into the process. Again, like we have this demo coming up. It's like this time next week. So I think after that we should just get it in your all's hands and just try to smooth it out as much as possible for you all, and then we can just move on to the next steps here.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting seeing how the Twitter Spaces go as well, as we get more and more people involved and just more info being discussed.
Yeah, I think just talking is really important, and it's really nice for you guys to be able to speak with more of the team members. I know it was mentioned, earlier we have kind of a small team, but it's not super small. Like it's over 10 people. It's we have quite a few departments working on this, people with various areas of expertise collaborating together. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to just like talking with the community more as we go and getting like all of the team members of Kaiju Cards involved in the discussions, especially as we get into playtesting and just making sure that everything that we do is made for you guys to enjoy and experience. Like there's the reality where we're playtesting. There's lots of details. There's lots of little minutia to talk about, and there's lots of really interesting like depth of problems to solve. And there's the other side of things where it's like we really just want to take you on a journey. Like we want to give you an experience. Sometimes I'm obtuse about like what we're doing, and it's because I would like to, when the time is right, I'd like for you to have an adventure. I'd like for you to be taken on a journey. I think it's part of it's playtesting and getting feedback, and that's insanely important. And part of it's just like, again, providing some type of experience for you guys. So we're getting really close, guys. Like it's coming, like weeks away in terms of introducing you guys more to the world of Kaiju Cards, getting you guys playing the game, doing these highly iterative development cycles with your feedback. So I really appreciate just, again, you guys' patience, and I really am excited to step forward into this new era of Kaiju Cards, which we've been hinting at for quite some time, but is really just around the corner. I think with that, it has been almost 2 hours. We've been in this town hall. The Kaiju Cards team, I'm really happy that you guys all joined as well. In the future, I'd like to have the team here for the beginning. We can do our intros, actually talk about our roles and responsibilities, maybe a highlight of a specific team member, so we can really get into the kind of depth and thoughts of the team. But with that, I think I'm going to wrap it up here for today. I really appreciate everybody joining, listening in. I really appreciate Pancake recording and getting the video up. It's going to be our longest town hall video ever to date. And yeah, thank you so much, everybody. And we'll chat with you soon.